Before starting a journey, drivers and firemen are expected to read the notices. These give details of any changes to the line, track workings, etc. Failure to do this can have dangerous consequences for the driver.
People say, well, you don't have a steering wheel, rails guide you. Yeah, rails do guide you and you don't steer them, they steer themselves with flanges on wheels. But when you come to junctions, you've got to know where each signal's going to take you, that you're going on the right route. And if you're not, you've got to stop and tell the signalman, I'm not going that way, I'm going this. And it's called route knowledge.
If you're a driver, you sign your name that you know wherever you're going to sign a name for a route. In those days, you knew every signal, every sidings, every line along that line where you was going to go. Something else you used to always emphasise on to drivers, whenever you're approaching a junction, make sure you're getting the right signal.
Because sometime in your working life, if you come to a three-armer, for instance at Kirkham, going towards Blackpool, you've got a three-armer there. Left-hand one took you round the course, St Anne's to Blackpool South. The middle one took you straight through, fast line to Blackpool South, missing course road. The right-hand one took you round to Portland Field, which you got a two-armer again. Left-hand one took you to Blackpool North, right-hand one took you to Fleetwood. Now, you've got to know where them signals read, because once you've passed that signal, when it's clear, if you go it wrong way, you're going to get it in the neck. It's not like a buzz who can turn round to your car. You can't with a train. You've got to just carry on. You've really knackered job. Signalmen know where you're supposed to be going, because when it first starts off, you're wired away to the first signal box. This train is the what? The 10.5 from Bolton stopping train to Liverpool. And it's belled along all the way. Now, if somewhere along the line somebody gets confused, because this train's going to Blackpool South via the course, Blackpool South and Central via fast line, Blackpool North via Portland Field, this train's coming all over the place. And this particular day, they got it wrong. And Bob were working a Fleetwood excursion. And as he comes through Kirkham to this three-armer, he's pulled off the middle one instead of the right hand. And Bob, just a fleeting lapse in memory, took this signal and went straight on. And as soon as he'd gone through, he realised he should have been going to it right. But two of them got it wrong. Signalman got it wrong, Bob accepted it, and finished with a train full of people for Fleetwood in Blackpool Central. They had to get buzzes for them. Hell to play. I don't know he lost any time through that. Sometimes he got suspended.
When I was actually driving, approaching Shrewsbury, well, I knew through my notices that I couldn't go on a certain line there. There was something wrong. Now, when I run up to it, he'd taken the signal off for me to go on that wrong line. I'd read my notice, I wouldn't go. I got on the telephone. Am I all right going that road? Stood there 20 minutes, and when I got up to the stop signal just before you come on the junction at Shrewsbury, had a piece of rail out in front of me. And we watched them put it back. And it took them about 20 minutes to put that piece of rail back. The fact had challenged, didn't he? Told me it was all right to come under caution. If I'd have gone past that signal without challenging it, I'd have been in trouble. Signal would have been in trouble as well, but I'd have been in bigger trouble for accepting it. And that's one little fact of the job.
There were only two thinking grades, you know, on the railway. Drivers and signalmen. They were the only two people that had to think and stand by their actions. It soon came home to you when anything went wrong.
Signals are an essential part of railway safety. They control the movement of trains in a safe way, and the relationship between signalman and driver is very important. Signalmen not only have to know their own rules, but the driver's rules and responsibilities as well.
I remember one driver called Jeff Duke, and he would say, "Now Neil, here, have a go, but the most important thing you mustn't do. I don't care you stop half a mile on this side of the signal so long as you don't stop 1 inch on the other side of it."
To describe a semaphore signal, it's an oblong arm, and the danger signal, it's a red oblong arm mounted on a post with a white band on. and that denotes a stop signal. If it's in the horizontal position on the LMS, it's at stop. When it's clear, it's raised 45 degrees. At night time, obviously you can't see these arms, so it has two colours. It has a red for danger, and it has a green when it's clear. So you're looking for a red one or a green one. Now the distance signal or the caution signal is an oblong arm again, mounted on a pole, but it has a fishtail at one end. It's coloured yellow and it has a black chevron on it. In night time it shows yellow for caution and green for clear. So like if we were running at night time, we know where distance signals are because we've got this route knowledge.
Signal boxes control the flow of traffic on what are called block section. Only one train can be allowed in this section at a time, and as the train progresses from section to section, each signalman had to contact the next section with a series of bell codes.
My favourite signal box, believe it or not, in those early days was Edale. I enjoyed working Edale, and of course it's what they call the block system. Block system basically don't have more than one train on one running line in one section at a time. Now that is the basic rudimentary principle of block signalling. And of course your various signals are positioned throughout the section to control the passage of the train.
I think it was, at the time, it was an 80-lever mechanical signal box frame with the signalman. A lot of the enjoyment out of the job came with the signalman you were with, who'd let you help to run the box, pull the signals and that type of thing. Or what they used to call the block instruments which the trains were signalled with.
Call attention by bell signals. And then of course you repeated that, and if you were offered an express it was 4 beats on the bell, 1, 2, 3, 4. You took it under regulation 4 and gave him a line clear. Then the signal box in the rear would operate his signals to allow that train to go. And the same procedure was that you would have passed this train on by the appropriate 4 bell signal in the case of the express, and then operate your signals. If you didn't repeat the signal and give the signalman at the rear a line clear, then of course he wouldn't allow the train to approach you. You had to acknowledge your signal by repetition. If you had trains stood there in the protection of your signal, if you were protecting him by your home signal, called free block, you placed a metal collar over the lever to stop you inadvertently pulling that lever. One of the duties of the guard or the fireman, make sure the train was protected, the collar was on the signal, and of course either the fireman or the guard would sign your train register book to say that he had carried out this duty. In those days, of course, we used to have to take down 2 gallons of water in a can down to the signalman. And on this particular first morning, I was given this can containing 2 gallons. Walked down to the signal box, knocked at the door, and the signalman said, "Come in." And in I went. He, looking over the top of his glasses, said, "What's your name?" So I said, "My name is George Bramall." He said, "Well, I am Signalman Sutton. And when you come down with my water in the morning, George, knock at the door and I shall say, 'Come in.' And you'll say, 'Good morning, Signalman Sutton.' And I shall say, 'Good morning, young George.'" The duty down there was to ring the control office and convey the number of wagons that we had in the sidings and again in the works. Now, after ringing the control office, the signalman, Mr. Sutton, said to me, "There is another little duty you have to perform down here, George. And you see that white lever in the signal frame?" So I said, "Yes, signalman." He said, "Well, that operates a pump. And this pump is connected to a well, which is directly under this signal box. And by operating it, you will pump water out of this well into the station master's house, which will, of course, fill his water supply up for the day." and it will take you approximately half an hour to pump this water into the station master's house. Anyway, I got hold of this lever and I'm working it backwards and forwards for about half an hour. Having done that, the following morning, the same thing. The morning after that, the same thing. And by the time I'd finished, I was sweating cobs. I went back up to the station and the station master, Mr. Thompson, said to me, "By gum, George, it's taking you some time to take that water down to the signal box." So I said, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, but I've not wasted any time. I've rung the control office, conveyed the numbers of the wagons, filled your water tank with water." He turned round, he said, "Fill my water tank with water? What the devil are you talking about?" So I said, "Well, it was Signalman Sutton. I had to operate that white lever in the signal box to pump water out of the well into your house." For those that are not familiar with the signal box, a white lever is a spare. It's connected to nothing. In the event that a new signal has to be installed, then that lever is painted the appropriate colour and put into use. But a white lever has no workings at all. Now, the last thing I saw of the station master was he was going down to the signal box, either to give Signalman Sutton a telling off or between them have a real good laugh on my account.
I had a very good set of drivers to fire to. For 5 years anyway. That was 10 drivers, because you had a different driver every 6 months when you were registered. That was from top link down to number 5. And every driver that I had as a registered fireman, I always had a day's driving and a day's firing. I dropped on some really good drivers. And it didn't matter what job we were on, you did a day driving and a day firing.